Horror games are one of the most fun, immersive genres out there. They're one of the only types of games that can give you so much thrill, fear, and excitement. And also, they're kind of scary. Which really got me thinking, what even makes a game a horror game? I mean, sure, you can just throw in some jump scares every now and then.
Bazinga.
But real horror builds tension through atmosphere, sound, and that feeling that you're never really truly safe. And I thought I'd seen it all. Resident Evil, Outlast, Dead Space. But there was one game that no one could prepare me for. A game where mutated creatures eat you from inside out. That's right, I'm talking about a game called Alright, so maybe it's not that scary. But that doesn't mean it's not a horror game. You see, Bugsnax is more of a psychological horror game, which means it's gonna mess with your head and stuff. And on these types of games, you go way further beyond from just what you see on the surface. Games like Bugsnax aren't just gonna throw random jump scares at you. They're going to lure you in with a bright and interesting story first, while also letting you know that everything's gonna be okay. For now. And Bugsnax does this just by showing a beautiful isolated island where you can leave all your troubles behind, meet new people and make new friends. And the best part, you see that little guy all the way over there? We call him Bugsnax. And they're so good, man, hold on. And it's not even just me. Everyone eats these things. So before we go any further into how Bugsnax is a horror game, I just want to take a step back real quick and explain the story behind Bugsnax. You see, in the world of Bugsnax, there's these humanoid creatures called Grumpuses, and you can kind of just think of them as humans, but of their world. And in this world, you play as a journalist Grumpus, who works for this grumpy Grumpus, who's named Clumby Clumbernut. But she's not really that important. We'll come back to her later. But what is important is that there's another Grumpus named Elizabeth Megafig, hey Elizabeth, and she wants you to come write a story about something she discovered on a mysterious island called Snaktooth Island. With that discovery being, well, you've probably already guessed it, the Bugsnax. And we don't really know too much about these creatures, we just know that they live on this island and that they're half bug and half food. I like to think of them as like Pokemon, but you can eat them. But you can technically eat a Pokemon. And with you being a journalist, desperate for any story you can get your little grubby hands on, we set sail for Snaktooth Island on our cool airship. And then we crashed. Well, actually, technically you crashed. But now we're stranded on this island. Oh, I think I broke a rib. And soon after that, we end up finding another Grumpus named Filbo. And, apparently he's dying of hunger. And this is the part of the game where it starts revealing its gameplay loop to you, which is just catching a bunch of different Bugsnax and then feeding those to the other Grumpuses on the island. Oh, let's go. We eating good tonight. And to its core, it's pretty simple. I mean, you can use different tools to catch the bugs, and some of them dig underground, and some of them can fly. Ooh, like that one. Look at that. Wow. But other than that, that's kind of all you do in the game besides the narrative side. And so anyway, once you catch the Shrabby that Filbo wanted and feed it to him, we get one of our first weird glimpses of the strange nature that awaits on Snaktooth Island. Filbo's hand turns into a Shrabby. And he doesn't even care. I mean, you can literally walk up to him and tell him, hey bro, your arm just turned into a strawberry. He's like, oh yeah, it's fine. whatever. It's like, what? You're just okay with that. You're okay with your arm just being made out of fruit for the rest of your life. Which leads me to believe that the reason these creatures even look like food in the first place is because they want you to eat them. And once you've eaten them, they start manipulating your brain and want you to eat nothing else but Bugsnax. Which would really explain the reasoning why Grumpuses just don't care when their limbs turn into food. And we learn even more about this as we make our way into town, which is a ghost town right now. Everyone's gone, except Filbo. Hey, Filbo. So when Lisbeth originally came here, she brought a whole expedition team with her to help her find more information on the Bugsnax. However, 2 weeks ago, before we landed on the island with our airship that you crashed, something bad happened to Lisbeth, which then caused a dispute in town.
You don't know a thing about love! That's why your wife left you!
I'm gonna do violence to you.
And since they didn't have a leader anymore, all the Grumpuses just kind of scattered all over the island. And so now you have to go around the island looking for the Grumpuses, trying to convince them to move back into town, and then you can interview them and get more information on where Lisbeth is. But the only way you can get them to move back in is feeding them more Bugsnax. And more Bugsnax. More Bugsnax. And then when you least expect it, more Bugsnax. Bugsnax. Literally like 80% of this game is just going out and catching Bugsnax and then feeding it to the Grumpuses. I'm just feeding their addiction. Oh God, I'm the problem. And also another thing I just want to point out real quick while I was playing this game is when you finish a quest for one of the Grumpuses, it starts to play this weird, mysterious jingle. Come here, let me show you. Listen to this. You see what I mean? It's like, what did I just do? And like most games, like World of Warcraft, when you're doing a quest to commit mass genocide on all the wolves nearby, the game rewards you for that. It lets you know that you did a good job. And then you go back to this game and it's like, am I a good person or not? And that's something I love about this game and what the devs chose to do with this. They didn't just wave a big sign that says, I'm a horror game. Instead, they got a big sign that has a big smiley face on it, and if you look real closely under its eye, then it'll say it's a horror game. Now I know Bugsnax isn't the most popular game, and there's maybe a chance you've never even played it, or even heard of it. But I'm gonna go ahead and give a little more context on the Grumpuses that you meet on the island. Even though they don't serve a huge impact on the story, I still think it's necessary to at least know their names. So I'm just gonna rapid fire through them real quick. With the first one being Filbo, and he's kind of like the backup leader behind Lisbeth. He's doing okay, you know, he's Filbo, okay? Cut him some slack. Second Grumpus you meet is Wambus. He's like an old, stubborn farmer dude, and he grows sauces like ketchup and stuff, which is pretty cool. Then you have Gramble, who's like a very timid and gentle Grumpus, and he's actually one of the only Grumpuses that doesn't like eating Bugsnax. He won't eat them, unless you just feed them to him while he's sleepwalking at night. There's also Beffica, who's just very snarky and likes to gossip. Then we have Wiggle, who's a famous pop star and just sings a lot. Then we have Triffany, who's an archaeologist, and she's married to Wambus. Then we have Cromdo, who likes to scam everyone. I like to think he's just Saul Goodman, but in the Bugsnax world. Then we have Snorpy, who's an inventor and hates going outside. And also he thinks there's like a Grumpinati watching over him constantly. Then there's Chandlo, who's like your average bro guy that likes to lift. Then we have Shelda, who's like this shaman wannabe. I don't know. She's kind of weird. And then there's Eggabell, who's the doctor of the town. Then there's Floofty, who's the scientist of the town. So eventually, once you get all the Grumpuses back into town, you can finally gather enough clues to track down Lisbeth, which leads you all the way to the mountain in Frosted Peak, where an ancient cave entrance stands sealed, just practically begging to be opened. And this is where the game truly starts unraveling itself, revealing all those dark secrets. This is the moment where that E rating on that game cover was actually an M rating staring back at you in the face the entire time. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but stay with me here, because what's inside is actually somewhat disturbing. Because once you enter the entrance, you fall down a pit and find a tunnel filled with nothing but food from top to bottom. And then you realize it's not food at all. It's Bugsnax. That's Bugsnax. Up there's Bugsnax. Everything is Bugsnax. There truly is no escape out of this place. Your only way out is to be consumed by the dark, horrid screams of the Bugsnax. Oh, never mind. There's an exit right here. Whoops. And so as you delve deeper into the cave to find what mystery awaits, you find none other than the Queen of Bugsnax, which just happens to be the explorer you've been chasing this whole entire time, Elizabeth Megafig. and she reveals to us that Bugsnax aren't actually food. They're parasites with a will of their own. And once they enter a host, they interfere with your neurological function, manipulating cravings and making you gorge on Bugsnax until you turn into one. But it does raise a disturbing question. Do Bugsnax taste good, or do they just make you think they taste good? Because at one point in the game, your character actually does eat a Bugsnax, and then immediately gets sick and starts to vomit, thanks to Filbo. And we weren't the first Grumpuses to experience something like this. This whole island has a long cursed history of Grumpuses who just come here and end up becoming what they eat. In other words, all those Bugsnax you've been catching, all the Bugsnax you've been feeding to the Grumpuses, those were people, or Grumpuses. You see, normally, Bugsnax are incredibly aggressive monsters. They'll usually force themselves into your mouth because it's the only thing that's wired in their brain. They're basically the parasites from the movie Alien, except their bodies are like Lunchables, and there's a lot less blood and pain. Okay, maybe it's not that similar. And the only reason they haven't fully taken over is because Lisbeth willingly sacrificed herself to become the Bugsnax queen, so then she could gain control over the Bugsnax and stop them from infecting her friends on the island. Even though it doesn't matter, because as you play the game, you're infecting them anyway. And now none of that matters, because the Bugsnax are super angry, and they're coming, and now Lisbeth, she's too weak to handle all of them, so now she's got to double sacrifice herself while we get off the island, and she's here. Eggabell's staying too, and she and Lisbeth love each other, so she's gonna merge with Lisbeth. They're gonna double queen. There's gonna be two queens now. There's two queens, and we gotta get out of here. So now we gotta rile up all the other Grumpuses and get them on the airboat, so then we can leave. However, there's a variation of different endings here. Depending on how well you defend the Grumpuses during the attack, they can end up surviving the expedition, or just end up getting force-fed like a baby until they collapse. And I gotta say, it was pretty depressing just letting them all die, because once you escape and get back to civilization, there's no one here. Well, besides Filbo. Hey Filbo. But for the sake of keeping it canon, we'll just follow the good ending, which is where everyone survives. And so once we make it off the island, the credits start to roll and we get to see that Lisbeth and Eggabell managed to calm the Bugsnax. And they got to revert back into their normal selves. And they also chose to stay on the island. But that's not really the weird part. You see, after the credits are done rolling, we get to listen in on a secret conversation between two voices. One is a Grumpus named Jamfoot, and the other one is none other than your boss, Clumby Clummernut. Come on, give her a hand, everyone. Who would have thought? Not me. In all seriousness though, Clumby knew about the Bugsnax the entire time. She knew how dangerous they were, and she never even expected you to come back alive. Matter of fact, it says you died from a car wreck about a week ago. And it turns out she's part of a secret group called the Snackalites. They're basically just a cult that tries to hide the existence of Bugsnax from the public. And during that call, she mutters something under her breath, which is this phrase right here. Now, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm pretty sure it's Latin, but basically it just means all life from Bugsnax. It's pretty vague, you know, it can mean a lot of things. Like, is she saying Bugsnax created life? Did the Grumpuses come from Bugsnax? Am I a Bugsnax? The game doesn't really answer, it just leaves you hanging. And then, just before the screen fades, you see it. A single Strabby walking on top of the wreckage of the airship. It's a pretty quiet moment, but it means a lot. And there's so many different ways you can interpret this. I mean, maybe the Strabby is gonna take over the mainland by spreading the Bugsnax virus to all the Grumpuses. Or maybe it's a metaphor, because if you think about it, almost all the Grumpuses on the island were running away from something. And just when they think they've escaped all their problems, they get hit with something even worse. And even after they think they left those problems, they didn't really escape anything, they just brought them here. And now it's everyone's problem. Or maybe the Strabby's just lonely and he wants a hug. Whatever the case is, it's very ambiguous. And that's what makes this game's ending so strong. Every player can just walk away with a different theory or a different emotion. Anyway, I know I might have overhyped this by saying it was one of the most scariest games I've ever played, but there is some interesting hidden horror elements in this game. I mean, come on, we're talking about some cute googly-eyed creatures that were designed to make you mutate and die. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. This is kind of a newer style of videos that I'm trying out, so if you like it, let me know. I'd love to do more of these. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.